Somewhere in the deep ocean right now, one creature is drifting through the darkness, looking exactly like a Monday morning, and somehow still romantically active. Another creature has found its perfect partner, attached itself permanently, and slowly dissolved into her body, completely, forever. Most humans consider modern dating complicated. I invite them to reconsider. Welcome to Wild Rizz. I am Sir Nigel Wingman, naturalist, observer, and veteran of enough romantic catastrophes to recognize commitment in its most extreme forms. Let us begin. Allow me to introduce the blobfish, a creature that appears to have received some difficult news approximately 40 years ago and never fully recovered. Now, before we discuss romance, an important scientific clarification. The blobfish you have seen in photographs, the drooping, melancholy, structurally disappointed face, is actually a decompression artifact. At its natural depth, 800 to 1200 meters below the surface, the blobfish looks relatively normal, a standard pink fish. Unremarkable. It is only when brought rapidly to the surface that the dramatic pressure change causes its body to expand, collapse, and assume the expression of someone who just checked their bank account, which means the blobfish has been unfairly maligned. It does not actually look like that. We did that to it by dragging it somewhere it never asked to go. I find this unexpectedly relatable. Now, at depth, the blobfish lives in complete darkness, cold, pressurized, utterly featureless environment. No decorations, no displays, no elaborate courtship rituals, no architectural installations, no competitive dancing. The blobfish does not build a bower. The blobfish does not grow spectacular feathers. The blobfish does not engage in seasonal combat. The blobfish simply exists. And somehow this works. Scientists believe blobfish aggregate during spawning season. The female lays eggs. The male fertilizes them. Both may remain near the eggs, guarding them, in what researchers describe as surprisingly dedicated parental behavior. A creature that looks like it has abandoned all hope turns out to be a committed parent. Nature continues to humiliate me. Now, what does the blobfish teach us about romance? Absolutely nothing conventional. No grand gestures, no elaborate strategy, no performance, no decoration, no desperation, just a presence, patience, and the quiet confidence of a creature that has never once considered that it might not be enough. The blobfish has no game. The blobfish needs no game. The blobfish simply is. And in 800 meters of crushing darkness, that is apparently sufficient. I have spent considerable time and resources learning this lesson. The blobfish learned it by default. Frankly, I find this offensive. However, if the blobfish represents romance at its most effortless, then what we are about to discuss represents romance at its most permanent. Because somewhere in the deep ocean, another creature found its partner and decided that finding them once was simply not enough. He wanted to never leave, ever, biologically, permanently, and irreversibly. Meet the anglerfish. The anglerfish, a creature that lives in absolute darkness, uses a bioluminescent lure to attract prey, and has developed what I can only describe as the most extreme romantic commitment strategy in the history of biological life. Now, first, an important clarification. When most people picture an anglerfish, They picture the large, terrifying creature with the glowing lure and the enormous teeth. That is the female. The male anglerfish is dramatically smaller. In some species, hundreds of times smaller than she is. He is essentially a small, confused tourist who has wandered into a situation significantly beyond his experience level. Now, the male anglerfish has one purpose: find a female. This sounds straightforward. In the deep ocean, it is not. Complete darkness, enormous pressure, vast empty space. The male must locate a female in one of the least hospitable environments on Earth. Without finding her, he will eventually simply cease. No pressure. When he finally finds her, he does something remarkable. He bites her, not aggressively, not territorially, romantically. He attaches himself to her body and begins to fuse. His mouth connects to her skin, their bloodstreams merge, and then something genuinely extraordinary happens. He dissolves. Slowly, over time, the male anglerfish loses. His eyes, his fins, his entire existence surrendered. For one connection, I gave 3 years and a holiday home in Tuscany. He gave everything. I am choosing not to compare. Scientists call this sexual parasitism, which is perhaps the most aggressively accurate scientific terminology ever committed to paper. Now, one female anglerfish can carry multiple fused males simultaneously, each one attached, each one dissolved, each one waiting patiently forever. And here is what genuinely arrests me about the anglerfish. The male finds her in complete darkness, against extraordinary odds, crosses an impossible distance, and when he finally arrives, he gives everything. Not metaphorically, not romantically, literally everything. His eyes, his fins, his independent existence, his entire self, for one connection. In the darkness, is this romantic or deeply troubling? I have been considering this question for longer than I would like to admit, and I believe it is both, simultaneously, which perhaps is the most honest thing nature has ever said about love. One romantic strategy requires zero effort. The other requires the complete surrender of self. And so, the blobfish needed nothing. The anglerfish gave everything. Both somehow work, which suggests that nature has no fixed opinion on how love should look, only that it should, in some form, persist. Even in 800 meters of darkness, even at the bottom of everything, something finds something else and holds on. The anglerfish does this somewhat literally, but the sentiment stands. I have been Sir Nigel Wingman, explorer, observer, mildly superior. Until next time, know your worth. Choose your depth carefully, and whatever you do, do not bite someone unless you are entirely certain you are prepared for the consequences. The ocean is vast. Begin again.